Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. We're a purpose before profit group that helps guide entrepreneurs and startups. Sharing knowledge and stories is why I started this. It is live. You have any questions, plop them in the comment section. If you're watching this after the fact, please put any questions in there, tag us, and we will answer them. I would like to thank our sponsor, the Canadian Blockchain Consortium. Our blockchain summit is coming up next week. Tickets are available. We have about 250 coming and experts from all around North America. But more importantly, I'm excited about talking about bullying today and how mean everything is online and how we get rid of them with Casey Manchin, one of the co-founders of Areto Labs. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm
Well, I,
excited to
I
be
am
here.
so excited to have you here, and I mean, I've been a fan of what you do. I've been a fan of watching you. I mean, as a father of two, 15, a 15 and a 12-year-old girl, we've had those talks with our daughters, but I can't wait for you to kind of share your story.
Sure. Yeah. Are we just diving right in?
Well, we can dive in. I mean, I
Sure.
think that's probably a good way to go into it. I mean, really, in today's world, like we've had so many, when I was a kid, I'm 50, bullying was done a little, maybe in the yard, you yell at somebody or whatever it was. You went home, you didn't have to worry about it. But today it's just like it's awful. You see the things. Twitter is just a cesspool of crap, in my opinion. But I mean, I love the purpose of what you're doing. So please share, how
Mhm.
you came up with this.
Yeah. So myself and my co-founders, Lana and Jackie, way back, had worked together on this really as a solution to a problem that we had discovered when Lana and myself started a nonprofit organization called Parity YEG. And the main purpose of that organization was to increase women's role in public office. So, really,
Yeah.
just to get more women running for office, especially here in Alberta at that time. And still to this day, pretty like nationwide, there's a huge disparity between women and men running and getting elected to office. So, part of our work meant recruiting women to run. And when we did that, more often than not, they would say that online social media abuse and toxicity was a big issue and a big barrier to running and staying in office. And so we wanted to do something about it. So essentially, we developed a troll to troll the trolls. So a bot that trolled the trolls. Really, in its simplest form, we tracked all the women running in election cycles, all the candidates. And then for every extremely abusive tweet that was sent to them, we posted a positive message in response. At that time, really, it was simply to raise awareness about the problem. As we know, it more so now we know that it's a problem, but even back then, there was still some resistance and reluctance, maybe on a few different people to really own this problem. And
Mhm.
so we wanted to do something about it. That's really how we got started. And all that led to us publishing some papers and presenting some of our work at some conferences. Still at that time, just as Lana and I, just really doing this from the side of our desks. And then COVID hit, and we thought now is the time more so than ever. And so we incorporated and decided to see what kind of opportunities we could find. And really, it was we can talk about all kinds of things, but really there was a huge market. We really did see a huge potential in the market. You know, obviously with politics, any public figure being online, you're subjected to all sorts of things. So in order to automate some of those like corrective and counteractive measures, we went all in and developed our product even further, which I'd love to talk about.
Oh, and we will. And I think I think that's kind of the neatest thing that came out of this. Something positive came out of politics. Like literally, like something extremely positive came out of all the negativity that we see, in today's world, us
Mhm,
versus you, that,
mhm.
all the stuff that goes on. Your idea came from, not only trying to protect, the women out there, but using tech to fight tech almost.
Yeah, and, help by automating some of that allyship,
Yeah.
being able to when we first started doing this, it was really interesting. One of the biggest learnings that we had, and sort of a surprising learning for us, was that when we did follow up and customer discovery with those elected officials, um, we asked them, like, what was sort of what was a positive from having us track you, and they talked so much about just feeling validated, because I think it can be a lonely experience. I mean, obviously, running anything to do with running in a campaign is,
Yeah.
a high pressure area. But we know, like, influencers, journalists, media, and sports, which is where we're focused now. There's a lot of pressure to be online, and there's money on the line. So it creates an environment that really is sort of something that someone has to take ownership of and
Yeah.
handle the problem, and it really is time consuming. So if you can automate some of that work and build counteractive measures within a product that will drive fan engagement and grow new audiences, that's really where we see the product now, and where we see opportunity in other markets as well.
And I mean, obviously, I'm seeing some LinkedIn comments from Robert and Jesse coming through here saying they've lived in your Slack channel. They're very positive, very positive feedback on what you're doing, and the validation obviously receive on a daily basis. But so before we get into the product and how it works, I want to hear a little bit about your white paper work and things like that. Like,
Hmm.
how was that received when it came out? Because everyone can say, "Oh yeah, social media is bad," and while there is some good, there is some bad. So, how did you
Hmm.
come up with, creating a paper? Because I think that's so important when you're trying to validate something that we all know is a problem.
Yeah. So at that time, we were really focused on really trying to validate. At that point, we there wasn't the awareness around, in particular, women's experience online,
Yeah,
and so unless you had lived it or had a really close friend or family member, you didn't really understand it. And so yeah, that was really the point of the white paper. We wanted to be able to not just prove that this was happening and that the data showed it, but that there was um, value in doing counteractive measures to automate allyship in its simplest
yeah.
form at that time. And so that was really what the white paper was for. We've since published a couple of reports with different partners, most recently with Team Heroine. She it run women-owned sports marketing agency, and former professional football player, Rebecca Soden, and we published a report on the Euros, and that, like, again, it's one of those things that people are much more aware, and definitely in Europe it is there's a they're farther ahead. We can talk about that as far as legislation goes, but there there's still some there's gaps. There's
Yeah.
really gaps, and that's why it's so important for partnerships, but also collaboration between, you know corporations, legislation, and then really, like, community members that have a duty to be online.
I think that's interesting, and I'd like to go down that rabbit hole for just a little bit. But again, I'm talking with Jacqueline, Casey, one of the co-founders of Areto. That website is in the comment section. Click on it there. You can find all their white papers on there in the report section. Please, go and read them. So,
Mhm.
why do you think that Europe is so much farther ahead of us in North America? Is it political? Is it like, share your thoughts?
Yeah, I think generally they're seen as leaders within ESG tech, I would say. That was something I learned quite quickly early on.
Yeah.
But it really, they're further ahead when it comes to legislation, and they've done a lot of that work. Um, yeah, so with like the digital safety bill, and then the Online Safety Act, they have legislation that comes at it at different ways. So some is focused more on regulating platforms, while others is focused on regulating users, but more so broadly too, balancing that with free speech and people's right to a safe digital environment. So that's something that we haven't explored as much here, especially in Canada and North America. Even, we know that there is these conversations being had constantly in a time that's even more polarized, I think, than ever. And so I think that's slowed us down a bit from having some of these tough conversations, but it's just, I think we'll get there. It's going to be a matter of, yeah, that collaborative work, and that's
Yeah.
where our platforms like ours come into play, and then a willingness on the part of government to take this seriously and do something about it. And it doesn't mean regulating free speech. It's just really the right to having a safe and inclusive environment online.
No, and
Market's catching up though. Like brands understand this.
I hope
They
so.
really do. Yeah.
I hope so, right? I mean, and I know as I've been, I get angry when I sometimes see people, throwing out slack, and I've been guilty of it too, right? When I see
Mhm.
someone, like, I don't go positive, I go negative with them, and it just takes you deeper down that crap hole, right? And
Yeah.
it's
Well, and it
sometimes it's
makes it even
frustrating.
harder to,
Yeah.
when we work with sports organizations, like how do you engage new younger fans and grow ticket sales and sponsorship revenue, all that, if you aren't regulating your digital spaces like you do your physical spaces? And the right to um yeah, feeling safe and inclusive online, but seeing that as like a really great market opportunity to grow fan growth. Like those are the early adopters that we love working with because they really understand the value of it.
Again, I just keep pushing back how your app works, because I mean, I want to kind of dive a little touch about that.
Sure.
What is the cost to some, to a business or to a sports organization, or maybe even to even a small business or startup, if they get caught into this, this rabbit hole of bullying or negativity.
Mhm. So there's two things there. There's sort of this, and really it's like that track and counteract. So it takes a lot of work, a lot of labor, but also emotional labor for teams, and usually small teams to manage and moderate social media.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work, while you're also expected to engage, create content, original content that also, meets your KPIs. You need to be able to grow fan engagement online, grow sponsorship revenue online that translates into ticket sales, all those kinds of things. And so it saves them time,
Yeah.
and allows smaller teams to manage that, while also um, doing some of those features that is unique to our product. So we can automate a lot of counteractive measures and allyship, um, that allows you to really focus on shifting conversations away from really more brand management and harm reduction online. So we know that, yeah, reputation is a big problem when these kinds of things happen. How do you handle that? But then also, how do you create an environment where your fans feel included and safe to be able to also push back on some of that and do some of those measures themselves? And really, that's what, like, if you can do that in a positive way, like almost as simply as drowning out with positivity, it can be really like just an amazing experience to be a part of. So that's what gets us really, really excited, and getting to work with organizations, as I said, that really understand that, is, yeah, is just so much fun.
Well, I think that's a perfect lead into, how your product works. Again, I'm talking with Casey, one of the founders of Areto Labs. Just click on the website and you'll be able to, look at the reports. And we're going to be talking about the analyzer here shortly. So if you see that, you can, go to the website and check it out. So I'm just gonna, here's your soapbox, and I want you to kind of tell us about your product, why it's so wonderful, how it works, and how it's changing, making a difference in some people's lives.
Yeah. So we use machine learning and our own in-house gendered microaggression model, which is also something that I love talking about and we can talk about later. But we use machine learning to moderate and counteract online abuse. And so our product does sort of all of those measures that you would expect from sentiment analysis tools, auto moderation, so mute, hide, block, all those sort of features that you would expect. But then we have auto corrective measures. So what we're calling, and this could change startup world, but what we're calling sort of our boost signal and pulse survey. So we can automate, sending a DM or sending an email or a push notification text message to the account that's being attacked or bullied, to just say like, hey, are you doing okay? We notice this is happening. So from an organizational perspective, you're reducing harm and risk by being able to like automate some of those measures to be able to reach out in the moment at scale, and also being able to automate having fans opt into essentially what you would like. Yeah, you would send a signal out to say, hey, we wanted to let you know that your fan or whoever is in your support network is receiving this. You should go in and check online or check in with them. So
Mhm.
we've done a couple of things like that, and then all of that data is kept in this very nice dashboard that customers can access to see all kinds of different insights, and then our Areto score. So this sort of came from, obviously, most of our work has come from customer discovery, but as a way to sort of calibrate and measure the digital health of your community, we've done a lot of work to build out that. So you can also see general scoring around your community, and then detailed scoring when it comes to a few different filters that we've specifically developed with our learning model.
So when you're working with a customer, and we get this, nice dashboard, how do you work with them, to go further into it, saying how should you solve this? How, here are some solutions. So let's dive a little deeper into that.
Yeah. So yeah, usually it's driven by the customer though. So we do
Okay.
like custom messaging based on our customers. We don't generate that. It's usually based on what our customers want. So in a sports organization, obviously it would be branded, and really the messaging would fit the branding and the messaging, the overall messaging from the organization. But then we do suggest counteractive measures, and within our app you can look at different filters. So not just like a general score, it's very specific as far as like gendered microaggressions, or is this like hate speech, is this an attack on someone's identity. So usually that's like, your racist, anti-LGBTQ2S plus sentiment or language. And then is it sexually explicit, is it demeaning, misogynistic, illegal. So yeah, there's ways to be able to quickly see that information, which gives organizations and really social media managers the ability to quickly and efficiently manage and moderate that kind of content and look for opportunities and insights that grow positive fan engagement. So
Okay. Well, I mean, that's great, right? I mean, how, being on top of it, getting in front of it, I'm sure that's so important.
yeah, and it saves time. Like when we
Yeah.
talk with it amazes us how much, like, and the bigger your brand, the more you are faced with this. So it de-incentivizes you in some ways to grow, because you have to manage that. That's like a huge part. And some people's job, their entire job is to manage that. So if you can automate that work and let teams focus on those really great initiatives and campaigns that can grow
Yeah.
fan engagement, then that's where we provide a lot of value.
What about what about the person that's seeing all this negativity? Like, what about that social media manager? I mean, that's got to be tough on that person that's just seeing
Absolutely.
constant barrage of crap coming their way and
Absolutely.
dealing with it. Is there, I mean, you must have some sort of I mean, obviously I host mental wellness problems. I've had my own issues.
Hmm.
My wife and I talk about, our family issues over COVID and her breakdown and ending up in the
Hmm.
hospital. So, I mean, is there, well, how do you help that person that's really dealing with all of this?
Yeah. Great question. And first of all, yeah, thank you for talking about that. And sorry to hear that. But yeah, it's a huge problem. And I can say personally, when in my previous work, worked for an elected official and had to deal with just the incredible amount of hate every day. It was draining. And ultimately, it was why I left my job. Like, I had a great job. I loved it. I loved policy work, all those things that are really important to doing a great job, especially within public office. But dealing with that every day, it just completely impacts how you go about your day. And so we really built the product and designed it around automating some of those measures afterwards. So you want validation that it is in fact bad. So, there's this game you play when you see it. It's like, is it that bad? Am I being, maybe I should, because
Yeah.
especially, when your job is to be online, there is, critiquing or criticizing or, having difficult conversations about things in a respectful way. That's okay. That's good, but it crosses a line. And so it's validation and then doing some of those measures to have someone check in and say, hey, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
What's up? Like, that would have been, made, even just that would have made a difference. But, we would commiserate and talk with our teams, and you find ways to manage and cope with it. And certainly, there's, yeah, a measure of like becoming a bit jaded over time and sort of this sort of this acceptance. Um, but it's yeah, it I think it always catches up with you at some point, and that's really like from an organizational standpoint, depending on the use case. But we also work with sports organizations that are protecting athletes' mental health, and it is unbelievable the stuff that gets said, especially to women in sport. It
Yeah.
still is that, there's barriers there, a lot of barriers. And if we can avoid or help in some way, reducing some of those barriers, including online social media abuse, then
Yeah.
that's what gets us really excited.
Oh, and that's excellent. And I was, this next, it's actually coming from Eamon, and thanks for watching, Eamon. He's hanging out in Egypt right now. So
Ah,
I like this question. It's probably, like I said, going to be into, what's next for Areto, but he wants to know, like, is your plans, or is your app going to be able to work in any other language other than English? So maybe I'll let
yeah.
you answer that question, and then maybe, go into, what's next
What's next?
for you
Sure.
guys.
Yeah, we currently track in 17 different languages and always adding more. Um, yeah, absolutely. That's important. What's next? A lot. But on that note, we've also discovered through a lot of customer work that, like, how important that those smaller microaggressions that are more like regional, contextual language, that can be just as insidious, but might not be, widely recognized. Something that we're doing is working with customers to be able to customize some of those, to be able to detect and counteract those words, which is really exciting. And really, we're like head down in product growth. We really want to yeah, just like get a lot of the stuff on our roadmap done, and then go to market, scale, fundraise. I mean, what's next? I don't know. So much.
You're a
So much.
startup,
Do
your
you
road
want to
goes
see
like
my
this.
list?
Oh,
No.
back a few, that way, this way, up.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's a startup roadmap.
Yeah, exactly. We don't plan too far ahead because we know it will
But I
change.
think that's interesting. 17, 17, different languages. I think
Yeah.
that's really neat. And I mean,
Mhm.
obviously it shows the need to, that it's just not a, it crosses so many different, languages and barriers.
Absolutely. And, the people that can benefit the most from social media and this free platform where you're able to amplify and promote yourself or your business, it's critical. But though the people that need it the most are usually the most impacted by it as well. So we know that women experience online abuse disproportionately than men, and then if you factor in all kinds of different lived experiences from people, it's just awful. It's really, really awful. It can be really awful. But it can also be wonderful. Like, it really is a place that can be so wonderful and grow, community. And
Yeah.
so, it's not all bad. We just
No,
have
no,
to,
and we have
yeah.
that conversation as much as we're focusing on the negative here. There can be some. I mean, I've been part of and I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of great things that has happened because of
Beautiful,
social
like,
media.
yeah, wonderful, wonderful things, and that have both, galvanized and changed the world, but also just built friendships across borders, and yeah.
And I guess just a follow up to that, Eamon wants to know: is it in Arabic in the Middle East regions?
Uh, yes, I think so, but Eamon, I will get back to you and let you know exactly. I think
Yeah,
on our website we have the list, but I'll get back to you.
I've tagged you in that. On it was a LinkedIn comment, so we
Perfect.
can look at it there. But yeah,
Perfect.
I mean, again, like, just quickly saying is, for every bad, there's also a good. And I'm sure
Hmm.
I'm sure it's maybe a 50-50. I don't know. You would bet, you would know better. But I mean, there's times that I've sat there and I've seen things come out on Twitter, on wherever it is, where I've actually had tears brought to my eyes because of the moment
Hmm.
and what somebody has done for somebody. And I
Hmm.
mean, it's such a powerful thing, even though I have no connection to either of those two or three people.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's beautiful about it. So more
Yeah.
of that.
Yes.
Way
Way
more of
more of
that.
that. Way more of that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Exactly. Oh,
What else is next? We really see ourselves in a bunch of different areas. I know, Eamon, I would love to chat, but yeah, beyond sports, esports, gaming, and then, really trying to look at educational and parental controls when it comes to online bullying and safety. So there's lots on the horizon, but we have to be focused and measured, as Christina would tell me. Christina Moki. I love her.
exactly. Got to be focused.
Exactly. Yeah. And and that's what's so
As we talked
important
about
about
before.
community, right? Is having relationships that allow us to have mentors and advisors that help. Because, like, what do we know? We're just diving in head first, blind.
Well, that's what I said. I know we would get to this, right? I said it always comes up, right? How collaborative and how many good people are out there to help and guide, and our support system throughout this province and the prairies,
Yeah.
is second to none. And whether you fail fast or figure it out, but you know what? When you're out there and you're talking to people, somebody else has done what you're doing, and you'll be able to learn from that, and they are more than willing to share.
Always. Yeah. It is like no other. I think it's what makes us different.
Oh, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And I know we probably should have had this conversation a heck of a lot earlier, because I am a big fan, and we are one, a set of those parents that have had those talks with our kids about everything early, and online social media
Hmm.
was one of them, right? I
Hmm.
mean, bullying and who's going to come to you or who's going to talk to you or who do you respond with? It doesn't matter if you're on Roblox or Minecraft or TikTok. I don't care.
Hmm.
We were lucky enough, or had enough knowledge of what's out there to have those conversations. And I know a lot of people don't. And I highly recommend that, if you are, and, go check out their website, just click on the comment section, look at it. I mean, it is so important. And, for not only yourself, but your family, your kids to keep that mental wellness and not let somebody dictate, how important of a person you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So after all that being said and all the positive, and I'm looking forward to watching you guys grow and scale. The three of you have been, like I said, our startup roadmap is like this. I would like you to share one piece of advice for our followers if you are a startup or an entrepreneur.
Done is better than perfect, and simple is best. So we often in the startup world, this was hard for me too. And I think often as entrepreneurs, we're quite, driven, sort of motivated people. And so it can be hard to sort of let go of some things and release things when they're not perfect and, try and fail. So I really try and adopt that mindset and also lead with that mindset with our team. And simple is best. The simplest processes that get followed are the best. So it doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to be done.
I love that. Simple, simple. I'm a simple person in a complicated world, so that relates to me.
Right. I mean, we all, anyways, yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
A spreadsheet can go a long way.
Oh, I still use spreadsheets.
Yeah, we love spreadsheets. So many spreadsheets.
Exactly. Spreadsheet is cheap. I like it. It's free.
Yeah. And
free is good.
Things change so quickly until you have that product market fit and that stickiness, it can change really, really quickly and continue to change and evolve. But that's really what gets you to sort of more of that hockey stick, right? Where you
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Casey, it has been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And again, if anybody is interested, go take the Areto analyzer. It's on their website. It's aretolabs.com. It's in the comment section. Check it out if you have any questions. And if you want to see my national championship trophy, it's right there. I just have to throw it in once. I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah.
What is that from?
Yeah, it's from, we won nationals in baseball this year. So
that's awesome.
It's my little friend that's going to stay there for maybe a couple more episodes, and then I'll have to share it with somebody, one of my teammates. But I'm going to hold on to it for a bit. But again, thank you so much, Casey, for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. Thank you, and have a good one. Bye-bye.